Hey, hey! In today's episode, we are going to talk about Psalm 23:1. I had originally planned on covering the entire chapter of Psalm 23, but as I made my verse 1 notes, I realized that was never going to happen in one episode. So today we are going to talk about Psalm 23:1 and how it applies to life as entrepreneurship. Yes, that sounds kind of crazy, but I promise you it does apply. So I hope you're ready. Let's get to it. Welcome to Seeking Over Striving. Do you constantly think about how to make more money? Are you uncontent and always searching for more? Do you know you need to slow down and see God in your business, but don't? Hey, I'm Beth, and I too was a Christian entrepreneur trapped in the cycle of boss babe culture. Like you, I felt the pressure of 6 figures, lived on social media, and hit burnout. I told myself there was no way to have a successful business without idolizing wealth and constant hustle. And then God showed me the truth. I needed to leave behind the way I'd been doing things and just follow Him. In this podcast, you will learn how to build your faith, see God in your business, and renew your mindset. So dust off that Bible, girl, and let's dive in. Hey, did you know that I have a private Facebook group for women just like you? Burnt out Christian entrepreneurs who want to find peace and fully trust in God's provision instead of striving their way to success. I know how hard this is, and I wanted to create a community of women who knew just how you feel. So join my private Facebook group, Making Money with God, at bit.ly/makingmoneywithgod.com, and I will see you there. I did a Bible study covering Psalm 23. I think it's been about a year and a half ago. It seems like it wasn't that long ago, but it was amazing and I loved it. And I think we're all probably very familiar with Psalm 23, but diving into it through a Bible study was really, really cool. And there was just so much in there that God's word is exponential. There's just so much you can pull out of one verse, and that's just always amazing to me. But going through Psalm 23 was fantastic. I was thinking the other day how much it applied to entrepreneurship, and I was thinking back to the study and how many notes I made that I thought, I'm gonna, talk about this on the podcast. And this podcast has been in my brain for such a long time, and I was making notes in that Bible study book way back then. So when I was thinking about the next things I wanted to record, Psalm 23 came to my mind. And so, yeah, that's what we're going to do. I originally had planned on going over the entire chapter of 23 in one episode. And I guess I already said this in my intro, but I started writing notes on verse 1 and I was like, this is just never going to happen. So we're just only going to talk about verse 1 today, and I hope that you love it. So anyway, I do want to start out reading the entire chapter. So we're going to start at Psalm 23:1. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not be in want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So you're probably like, how does this apply to entrepreneurship? So the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. So what do you want? What do you want? What we focus on the most are the things that we want. What do you want? What are you focusing on? We've already kind of talked about that a little bit in these first couple episodes, but focusing more on Him leads to not focusing on the worldly stuff that we want. And that leads to surrendering our stuff, surrendering our agendas, surrendering our own plans to Him, to the foot of the cross. And that helps us follow Him and listen to Him and to do what He says, even when you doubt or even when it doesn't make sense. And then that kind of just circles all the way back around into wanting God's will more than your own things. So it's kind of it's cyclical, right? Is that the right word? Cyclical? It's like a cycle. When you focus more, when you spend intentional time on God and His word, you're focusing less time on the worldly things that really don't matter at the end of the day. And that helps you know Him more. That helps you trust Him more. That helps you surrender your own agenda to Him. That helps you follow Him. You listen more. You obey more. you trust more. And it just like keeps going in this cycle. Like it just goes in this circle over and over and over again. And that's the beauty of it. And shepherd, I love this phrase. And in the Bible study we did, she really like went in depth to like the actual practicality of a shepherd and his job and what he does for his sheep and his relationship to his sheep and all the things. And I'm not going to get into all of that, but basically the shepherd provides for, cares for, leads, protects, rescues, and pursues. And I think pursue is my favorite part. I'm kind of getting off track a tiny bit with this point, but I just love the fact that God pursues me. Like he pursues me, even in all my wretchedness and all the horrible things and all the mistakes and everything in the past and everything I'll do in the future. Like, I mean, you guys we're never perfect. We're always going to be a work in progress, so to speak. But God continues to pursue me, and he continues to pursue me even when I purposefully run off the other way, and whether that's in something tiny or something huge, like it doesn't matter. He pursues me, and that's super cool. And he pursues you too. He pursues the lost sheep. And maybe you're not in a season where you're lost right now, but I mean, I went through a huge season. My whole season of like this boss babe culture and striving I went through. I mean, I was still doing Bible studies and like praying and had like a good relationship with God, I thought, and all the things, but I still was lost. I still ended up like in this middle of the desert and looking around thinking, how the heck did I get here? And what have I been doing? And God still pursued me. He still pursued me. He still pursues you. It's like never too late. He's never not going to come get you. He's never not going to meet you where you are. He's never going to help. He's never going to not help you out of the mess. He pursues us. And I think, looking around society, even just in our modern day society in general, it's so obvious everyone just wants to be wanted. Everyone just wants to be loved. Everyone just wants to be understood. Everyone wants to be known. Everyone wants to be heard. We don't even need to search for that because God's already pursued us. And he fulfills all those things. And I'm getting a little off topic here, but that just kind of flows into that whole cycle too. And I love that. So again, what do you want? What do you focus on? What are the things you want most? And when I was looking back through this study in this first week, so in the study, we went through every single verse for an entire week. But one of the main questions that was wrapping up the first week, at the end, it said, so what do you want? And I wrote, this is what I literally wrote down in my book, in my Bible study book. This is what I wrote after the question said, what do you want? Or what are the things that you focus on? And I wrote, I want a lot of pretty meaningless shit, and it really reflects an untrusting heart. And I don't even remember writing that, but that's exactly what it was. It's just, I want a lot of meaningless crap. I wrote shit. I'm going to have to mark this explicit. I'm going to have to remember to mark this explicit. It's not that explicit, but I don't know if you're listening by your kids or whatever. Anyway, the stuff that I want was meaningless. Just meaningless. Meaningless stuff. Meaningless worldly things. And it reflected an untrusting heart is what it was. It just reflected me striving and hustling and worrying. I don't think I've even talked about worry yet in these last couple of episodes. Worrying about stuff. It was all reflecting an untrusting heart. And then the next question from that wrap up from the study was, how will you live based on Psalm 23:1? And my answer was, I will seek him, I will trust him, and I will reevaluate my wants. And you know what? That's exactly what I did. I actually did that. I didn't just write it down. That's exactly what I did. And that's exactly what I want you to do today. Seek him. And when you seek him, you will trust him. And then when you trust him, you start reevaluating your wants. To trust him, we have to know him. And that's where we go back to seeing him as our shepherd, our provider. He cares for us. He protects us. He leads us, guides us, rescues us from our mistakes, rescues us from our disasters, rescues us from the messes of our own making. I'm speaking for myself here, rescues us from all of our messiness. And again, it's that pursuing, he pursues us. And when you seek him and you look for the truth, and when you look for proof in your life of all of those things, you start to see that proof and you start to believe it more. And then that's when you start to trust him more. And then that's when you start, maybe even not consciously, but like subconsciously reevaluating the things that you want. And when we seek him, it's about seeking him with your heart. It's not seeking him as in like, what's in it for me? And I think I sought him in the what's in it for me place for a really long time. And I still do sometimes. I mean, honestly, like I'm a human being. I think we all do. Like that's just kind of our human nature. Like what's in it for me is kind of just our natural human thought. But when you really get intentional about like seeking him to know him for who he is, you will find him when you seek him with your heart, and then you will know him better and trust him. And then you'll want the other meaningless things less, and you'll want more of God. You'll want more of his word and more of just that growth of your spirit that fills you up, where those other things you start to realize aren't going to fill you up. Like no amount of money in the bank is going to give you the satisfaction that you will get from having a relationship with Jesus. And that's part of seeking him with all your heart and not the what's in it for me kind of thing. Like this maybe sounds kind of weird, but I think of it as like a relationship. Like think of, you know, when you and your husband first got together, or you and your boyfriend first got together, or girlfriend or wife, if there are men listening. Think of your first love when you got together. Like you just wanted to know about them. You wanted to spend time with them like every minute, and you wanted to know all the things about them, and you wanted to know what they liked. You wanted to know about their life. You know, probably immersed yourself into the things that they loved. Like if they were into if they had a hobby, you probably like did that hobby with them or whatever. And I mean, when you are in that position with somebody that you care about and you love, and maybe even at the beginning if you're not like technically in love with them yet, but like you're not in that position as like, oh, what's in it for me? You're genuinely seeking that person and like growing that relationship and pursuing that relationship with them because you like them and you care about them and you have feelings for them, and you know, maybe you do already love them at that point or whatever, but like you are building a relationship with them because you want to know them and you want to, gosh, there's a very specific word I'm looking for and I can't find it, but that's how you should be seeking God. It's not like, well, what can I do so then he does stuff for me? Or, you know, if I do Bible study every day, then that's going to make it so my life starts getting better. Like that's not true. We're not supposed to be seeking with this what's in it for me heart. It's supposed to be seeking him because you want to, and because you want to change, and you want him more than the other things that don't matter. And because you know that these worldly things aren't really filling you up or satisfying you or making you happy or making your life better or anything. And maybe because you just also know that those things shouldn't be the most important things to you. And here's the deal. Like this stuff doesn't just come naturally all the time, and it doesn't come easy all the time. If you know Jesus and love him, you have the Holy Spirit in your heart, and it's there. Like it's there to be set on fire and like take over everything else in the world, you know. So there is nothing between you and God. Like that's the point. But sometimes we don't actually always feel that way. I mean, let's be honest. Like we don't actually always feel that way. Like sometimes there are things in your life that are idols that you do want more than you want God. And maybe sometimes that's just in certain seasons. Or maybe maybe there's a sin in your life that you don't want to give up because you like it. And you know it's sinful and you know it's wrong and you know you shouldn't be, you know, idolizing it, like whatever it is in whatever capacity, but you like it and you don't want to give it up. I mean, that's the thing too. I was in that spot for a really, really long time. Like I'm not throwing stones at anybody. I'm just saying this is the reality of it. Like just because you know God and you have accepted Jesus and you have the Holy Spirit, it doesn't mean that at the flip of a switch, everything's just easy and perfect. I mean, nothing's ever easy and perfect. That's just not, I mean, some things are easier when you grow closer to God. Things do get easier but that's also like a loaded statement. So we're not even going to go there. But, I hope you know what I mean. Like we don't just suddenly have the ability to surrender everything and run after Jesus. That isn't always the case. Sometimes it is, or sometimes you follow him, but you haven't surrendered everything. And you're just like, I don't even know what I'm doing and I don't know how to do this, but it doesn't matter. You don't have to have all the answers and you don't have to do anything perfectly. The point is just seeking him with all of your heart. And as you build that relationship with him and you're in his word and spending intentional time with him in prayer and doing Bible study or making an effort to, fellowship with other believers. And if you have idols or you have, sins that you like that you need to get rid of, like maybe take baby steps to start, weaning off of those things, so to speak, or maybe you can just drop those things cold turkey, like whatever that means for you. But it's just that act of seeking him with all your heart and then knowing who he is, knowing that shepherd, like looking for that proof in your life. Like, where has he provided for you? When you thought you were screwed, like you're like, this is just not going to work out and I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, where in that situation, where has he come through for you? Like, I spent a really, really long time striving because I didn't think God was actually going to show up for me because of stuff in my past that I knew he forgave me for, but I didn't really let it go. And I just always, because I never let it go, I always kind of had this thought in the back of my mind that he wasn't actually going to show up for me. I just thought like, oh yeah, of course he forgives me, but like I screwed up really bad and like he's really not going to throw me a bone. Like, why would he do that? I don't deserve that. Like, I totally missed the entire point of his grace. It doesn't matter what I did. He did forgive me, but in that forgiveness is his grace and he is going to show up for me. My gosh, you guys, I could probably do nothing but podcast every day for the rest of my life telling you how he has shown up for me. But for some reason, I just still was living like he wouldn't. And it was just, which, I mean, I'm not the only one. I'm sure this is totally resonating and hitting somebody right where they need to hear. I didn't even plan on saying this. Like, this is just flowing out of my mouth and it's because somebody else needs to hear it. Like, make a list and look, like literally sit and make a list if you want. It's fine. Like, make a list of proof where God has shown up for you and provided for you, where he has cared for you when you were hurting, when you were sad, when you felt desperate, when you felt upset, when you sat and felt like you were going crazy. Like, I don't even know what's wrong with me, God. Like, has there been a point in your life like that where you felt his presence care for you? Where has he led you? Where has he guided you? Where has he protected you? Like, in what situation has he protected you in? Where has he rescued you from your messiness? Where have you made really crappy decisions because you did your own thing and like he still swooped in and rescued you from the pit? I mean, where is proof of him pursuing you in your life? Like, I know you can sit down and list these things out. Like I said, I could literally talk every day and give you guys proofs of these things in my life. And I'm not saying I've had this perfect, amazing, easy life or that I'm like this chosen. I mean, I am chosen. We're all chosen. But like, there's nothing special about me is the point I'm trying to make. Like, he does this for all of us, even in all of our messiness and sinfulness and screwing up and making mistakes and getting up and moving forward again. He still does all of this for all of us all the time. So I'm going to end it on here because I totally went off track and I have no idea what else I was going to say. I think I covered all my bases here. So I hope that just Psalm 23:1, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Like, we don't have to want for anything, you guys. We really don't have to want for anything. When you have accepted Jesus and he's in your heart and you have his Holy Spirit and you have him with you literally every second, every day, in every circumstance, in every capacity of all of his attributes, all of his characters, when you have the shepherd that does nothing but provide and care and lead and protect and rescue and pursue you, you don't have to want for anything. Nothing else really matters above that. So when we're sitting in life of entrepreneurship and we're worrying, and if we're in the boss babe culture and we are hustling and striving and we feel like we're not enough, we're not successful enough, we're not rich enough, we don't have a big enough business, we haven't scaled enough, we haven't expanded enough, we don't have enough followers, we don't have enough clients, we don't have a big enough retirement, we didn't throw our employees the most epic Christmas party, I don't have a brand new car, whatever. All these things that we think we need, all these things that we want, that we think is going to fill up our purpose as entrepreneurs. You don't even need to want any of those things. And follow him, seek him and trust him and follow him. And he's going to lead you to the still waters and the green pastures that your soul really needs. And so we'll talk about those things in the following episodes. It's okay. Climbing off my soapbox now. If you're still with me, you're the bomb diggity, and I love you so much, and I can't even believe you're still listening to me talk about this. So if you're still there, I love you so much. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Hey friend, I hope you loved today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds to leave me a review on Apple Podcasts so I know the show blessed you? And please share this episode with a boss babe you know who may need to stop hustling and seek God first. Okay, girl, I will meet you back here in a couple days. And until then, stop striving and start seeking because God has the promised land waiting and ready for you.